Hello, everyone, and welcome to our presentation, Why Identity Protection is Important. I'm Jim LaPointe with Cold & Company, and today we're going to cover critical aspects of email threat protection and response, or ITDR, which is Identity Threat Detection and Response. We'll be focusing on some common threats, protective measures, some hacker techniques that bypass traditional security, and then get into a solution for all this. So very quickly, a little bit about Cold & Company. We're a managed services provider with offices in Florida, New York, and Michigan. We are certified AI email security specialists, among many other certifications in the cybersecurity space, and been in business for about 22 years now. So let's take a look at our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the security landscape surrounding email threats. We're going to be looking at some protective measures, methods that hackers use to bypass MFA. For a long time, MFA was the tool to secure your email, right? If the bad guys compromise your password, they're still not going to be able to get in because you have that multi-factor authentication. Well, unfortunately, times have evolved. The bad guys have tremendous resources at their disposal, and we'll share some ways in which hackers are actually bypassing multi-factor authentication now to compromise attacks. And then we'll finish off with our advanced breach protection with Microsoft 365, which will protect you against all of this. Okay, let's get into email threat scenarios and impact. So let's take a scenario here. You come into your office in the morning, you open up your email, and this is what you see. Hey, good morning, Jonathan. What is this invoice for? I don't recall working on anything recently. I clicked the link, nothing came up. Please advise, this is from your important customer. You read that, get your wheels spinning, right? Go to your next email. Good morning, Jonathan. Just confirming we're changing your direct deposit to go to the new account that you requested. Now you're starting to sweat a little bit, right? You read your next email. Hey, Jonathan, why am I getting emails saying I need to buy prepaid gift cards for the staff? Is there something planned I'm not aware of from your business partner? So at this point, your heart has sunk because you realized you've been hacked, right? So a bad guy has gotten into your email and has done damage. It's not a good look for your company. It's not a good look for you. So there's common ways that bad guys get into your account through phishing emails, right? They'll create fake email alerts. They try to trick recipients into revealing their personal information. Typically, that would come in the form of, hey, click here to access your quarantined email. Click here to listen to your missed voicemail. And when people click on that, it prompts them for credentials that they can harvest and use for attack. They'll use urgent payment requests saying, hey, you got to pay this invoice right away or we're stopping work. They'll do that after sifting through your email and target your customers, right? If they know you're working on a project with one of your big customers, they'll spoof your account, contact your customer and say, hey, we're not working any further until you pay. And again, bad look for your organization. And of course, suspicious links that people should never click on, but sometimes do. Okay, so just some stats here. Phishing attacks are the leading cause of cybersecurity breaches. And email compromises are the largest source of cybersecurity financial losses worldwide. Email compromises cost small businesses $50,000 on average, escalating to $5 million for larger enterprises. This is according to Proofpoint. And 3 out of 4 businesses faced business email compromise attacks last year, and 1/3 actually experienced a compromise. That's why the solution that we're going to be presenting today is such a major step forward in security. Okay, so let's look at some traditional preventative measures against email threats here. Okay, so Because email is a blacklist type security list where it's only blocking known bad senders, right? That's the way traditional email spam filtering works, rather than whitelisting, which would be just approving known people that you can email with. That doesn't work very well, right? Then you would miss a lot of valid, good email if you were trying to use a whitelist solution. That has been tried. Companies have tried that. They don't last very long because there's too much good email that gets missed. So the better solution was to have a blacklist solution where known bad emails get put on a list and you don't receive email from them. The problem is it's so easy to create new email addresses that you're always behind the curve. So it's really, which is the lesser of two evils when it comes to those two practices here. So because the blacklist kind of won the day, there is going to be bad email that gets through to users. So it's important that users are educated in knowing what to look for phishing scams, because some stuff is going to get through those spam filters. Strong passwords are very important. Length is better for today's world because of the way that some of the password cracking tools work. Hackers will download a tool to do a brute force password attack. It's going to start with A, B, C, D all the way through, and then go A, B, A, C, and just keep doing those combinations until they come across your password. So if your password has length, it exponentially makes it harder for the bad guys to get in. So passwords that are 11, 12 characters really thwart the attackers because they're going to give up after a while. They're going to set those brute force attacks to run for a certain period of time. And if they don't get in by the time that expires, they're going to move on to something else. Passphrases are also a great practice because that gives you the ability to have length, but also the ability to remember the password. Something like the bird in the tree or something like that. That gives you some length, but it's also something that you can remember. Okay, then of course, multi-factor authentication. That's been a huge protector of accounts by adding that extra layer of protection in a different form, right? That's where the multi-factor comes in. It's going to send a message to your phone or an authenticator app, something that the bad guys are not going to have in order to authenticate your account. So that was a huge step forward in security. By the way, Microsoft is going to be mandating that for their 365 accounts in the relatively near future. So that's the good news. The bad news is that hackers are resourceful and have found ways to bypass multi-factor authentication. That's bad news. So they can do it through social engineering, tricking users into granting app permissions. So the app connection trick is something that they like to use, where you get an app to be trusted with Microsoft 365 login, and that can bypass there. Authenticated session vulnerabilities and session intercept. So essentially, the bad guys know you're going to have to type in that code, right? That multi-factor code. And what they're able to do in some cases is set up some spying software that's monitoring your traffic, because you're going to be sending that code to the Microsoft cloud in order to authenticate. And what they're doing is they're sitting there waiting for you to type that code, and then they're going to steal it because they've got a listening program that's going to capture that code as you're typing it in. Then they can go and use that same code to log in and bypass multi-factor. So that session intercept technique is something that's on the rise and allows them to bypass multi-factor authentication. Token theft, which works in a similar manner here, and an emergency password usage. So sometimes accounts will have an emergency password in case all else fails, kind of a break glass account, they might call it. There's been cases where users have stored that in an insecure place, their emergency password. Hackers have found it, and then they're able to bypass the traditional login and multi-factor by saying, no, 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 I'm locked out, but this is my emergency password that you had me save, and get by it that way. So in a nutshell, the bad guys are finding ways around the protective measures that the good guys are putting in place. So it's always going to be a game of cat and mouse. Unfortunately, the mouse is kind of on steroids these days. They have tremendous amounts of money and resources because of their success in things like ransomware that they're putting towards honing their craft and finding these other techniques to get around the traditional security measures that are in place here. So all of this is setting the stage for where we're at today and what we can do about it. So where we're at today is we're in a vulnerable spot. The bad guys have techniques to get around what's traditionally been deployed out there in the workspace, leading businesses to be compromised. And you saw in one of my slides there that 1 in 3 businesses was actually compromised last year through a business email compromise attack. And the way that works is once the bad guys get access to an account on your domain, could be anybody, could be just a technician or a secretary. It doesn't have to be a C-level executive getting compromised to be a problem. Because what they'll do is once they get access to your account or someone's account, they're going to first download their entire mailbox as fast as possible. They know they're going to get caught eventually. They know you're going to figure out, hey, something's not right here, and change your password and lock them back out. So they want to do their damage as quickly as possible. And the way they're going to do that is to download that entire mailbox. Then if they get caught, even if it's an hour later, they've got that mailbox already, and there's no getting it back from them. The horse is out of the barn, so to speak. Then they can take their time and sift through, and using the scenario where it's maybe an administrative assistant or someone that gets compromised, they'll look through that and see who the C-level executives are, particularly who are the people in finance, who are key customers. And then they can spoof those executives, target those payroll companies, target your customers because they've got that information. So time is of the essence in an attack. And unfortunately, they only need a few minutes to do some pretty heavy damage. So today what we're introducing here is advanced breach protection with Microsoft 365. What is that? What it is, it's 24/7, 365 monitoring of your Microsoft accounts and your email accounts. It's comprehensive breach protection across all of your users in your organization. And what does it do? So it's a combination of artificial intelligence and human monitoring. So artificial intelligence is going to be analyzing the Microsoft 365 log data, looking for suspicious activities in real time. I'm going to give you some examples here in the next slide here. When it finds something suspicious, then it's going to take action. So for example, if it sees an account compromise, it's going to immediately disable that account to prevent those bad guys from doing damage. And all of this can happen at any time. Bad guys are not stupid, right? They know that the middle of the night is a great time to attack because traditionally, nobody's looking at things at 3 in the morning. We're all sleeping, right? So that gives them time to do their damage. Not with 365 breach protection. It's 24/7 monitoring of your accounts and using artificial intelligence to automatically take action when needed. From there, it'll notify a cybersecurity trained human, hey, we think we've got a breach here. We've disabled the account. Please look into it. Then the human will look into it at 3 in the morning. A great increase in protection for your business because it's the 24/7, 365 coverage. Okay, one of the telltale signs that hackers like to use is forwarding email, right? They compromise an account. They want to have a conversation with your payroll company without you knowing. So they set up forwarding rules. If the payroll company emails you, automatically forward that to us, delete it out of your inbox so you don't even see it, and they can have a private conversation with your payroll company or your customer. That's a telltale sign of a hack. So the artificial intelligence is looking for those things. Hey, did someone just set up a forwarding rule? That looks suspicious. Is it going outside the domain? I'm going to automatically detect that, and I'm going to automatically disable that account and disable that forwarding rule so that it doesn't work and they can't do that. And then again, as I said, it gets forwarded to that human cybersecurity expert to look at that. And then you can look into it more deeply and decide, yeah, this was something that they wanted to do, or no, this is an actual attack here. Another example is what's called the impossible travel alert. So this is a real world example from one of our customers. It detected a login from Florida at 6 p.m. And then at 1 a.m. there was a login from Vietnam. The artificial intelligence sees that and says, there is no way that that user could have traveled from Florida to Vietnam in that amount of time. It's just not possible. That's suspicious to me. Automatically disables that account, which was compromised, but it prevented the bad guys from doing anything because of the quick response. They didn't have the time to do the damage that they want to do because of the artificial intelligence is practically instantaneous, right? It's examining those logs in real time as it's happening. And then, as I said, forwarding that to a cybersecurity trained human to look at here. So it's a huge improvement in your security. It's a huge protection. And you're looking at this, you may think, well, that's got to be expensive. It's really not. $4 per mailbox per month. Great insurance at a low cost here. So let's wrap it up here. We have a saying here at Cold & Company, if you're running your business the same way you were 2 or 3 years ago, you're not staying the same, you're falling behind. And that's because your competition is moving forward. Same applies in the security space. The bad guys are continuing to evolve and find ways around the current protections. We mentioned the ways that they're finding to get around multi-factor, which was kind of the golden egg solution for email protection for many years. They're getting around that now. So it's important to understand that those threats are out there. These are real things that are happening in the world. We're seeing it even among Cold & Company customers. So it's important to adopt those protective measures. And let's take advantage of technology. We talk a lot about artificial intelligence. It's a double-edged sword. The bad guys are using artificial intelligence, right? They're using it for their phishing attacks. So it used to be in the old days that you would look for an email that was poorly written, and that was a giveaway that was maybe written by a hacker. In today's world, they're just using artificial intelligence to write their phishing emails for them. So now what they tell you is look for a perfectly written email. That's probably coming from a computer. So, the times are changing. The bad guys are taking advantage of technology. They're using AI, generative AI, to develop malware to get by traditional antivirus. They're using AI for phishing emails that seem believable and are well written. Let's use AI too. Let's use it for the good. Let's use it to detect those types of breaches that we talked about, the impossible travel, the forwarding rules, and protect your accounts 24/7, 365. Okay, if you'd like to hear more about this, you can give us a call at 888-600-4560 or email us at info@coldandcompany.com. We'll be happy to help. Thanks for joining us today.